I'm just inviting Ariana to join us here.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. I'm using
Okay.
these new headphones. How are you?
Good.
Oh my
Felt like the
goodness.
longest day ever today.
Oh my gosh, I know. I thought I was nervous the entire day.
Oh
What am I
no.
trying to say?
No need to be nervous. It's just me.
Yeah. It was nice to finally see you and talk to you. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, so I've never been in live. Hi everyone.
So for those of you that are just joining us, this is Ariana. I hope I'm saying it right, or Ariana
Yeah.
Hall. And tonight she's going to be talking about her maker journey and starting a crochet blog and the lessons she's learned as she's kind of started that process. So,
Yay.
Ariana, if you want to start by just telling people who are watching about how you got started with crochet and how you got to be where you are right now.
Yeah. So my name is Ariana. I got started crocheting back in 2013. My husband and I had recently gotten married, and his mom um, made him a blanket that I actually have right here, which started the whole thing. um, so she gifted this to him, and once I saw that in my little hometown, I had never really seen anyone crochet or knit before. It wasn't really a thing. It was such a small town. And so when I saw this, I said, I need to learn how to do that. And so this is it. Actually, it's huge.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh. And it's a little military accents because my husband's in the Air Force. So he got the little military, which is so cute.
It's awesome.
Um, so that was 7 years ago. Fun fact, I self-taught for an entire year. It took me about a year to teach myself how to crochet. And so I have a picture of me Instagramming 7 years ago, knitting with a how to crochet book. That's how beginner I was. um, and since then, I've had two kids and moved twice and started a blog about 2 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
about 2 years ago. So it's recently new, but it's slowly growing with my husband's help. SEO is no joke, but it's very important.
Yes, definitely.
Super important. And I'm just going to say SEO because it is such a broad conversation to have. But definitely having a blog has been so awesome. And if anybody is interested in starting it, you can do it. You can do it. So it takes a lot hard work and meeting the right friends, people to help you along the way. But yeah, I couldn't have done it without my husband for sure.
Well, it's great when your partner is so supportive, right? Because I know that personally, like without my husband's help with the editing of the videos and the photos and stuff, I wouldn't be able to get it all done. And when you take on a project like a crochet blog, a lot of people don't really realize the amount of work and all the different facets that are involved in running a blog.
And
Even
money,
like
yeah. I mean, definitely. It takes you would say I wish my inspiration and creativity would be able to pick my blog itself, but it has an investment all behind all that in order to get a really good blog started and going down to the nitty gritty to like the very beginning. People don't really want to hear that too much, and but it really takes, like, if you really want that's kind of one of the things that I do would tell myself, back then, I would start at WordPress with the ads included, go all in if you're
Mhm.
all in it. And so yeah, definitely. We definitely went in and so yeah, actually my blog started, I had a blog before the same website, and that is why I don't have like a catchy name for it. Like I would have loved to come up with one, but it was so hard for me to stick with one. So I stuck with my name because I said, well, if I change, my craft or something, at least my name will carry on. Like, oh, Ariana, yeah, she does this and this.
Not planning on changing your name anytime soon.
Yeah, that's right. And it's copyrighted. Well, I mean, as far as like being copyrighted and all that stuff, like my name is my name. Although there's a singer who has my name and a website that we can't seem to buy off of her. She doesn't use it. Yeah. But yeah, so so that was really exciting. I started off my blog as learning developmental with children, like 0 to 3, the developmental stage. Like I was all into that. I stopped crocheting for a whole year because my son was diagnosed with like really early high functioning autism. So
Wow.
I was hyper focused on that, and I was meeting continuously every week with developmental teachers and ABA therapists, and I was so amazed by everything they did. Like, oh, I'm going to help. And I have YouTube videos actually where I teach my son, helping him with his speech therapy. So that was a ton of fun. And then that's when October of 2016, I want to say, or 17, I made my daughter a Wonder Woman outfit for Halloween.
I remember that.
That was the turning point of like, oh my gosh, like I've been crocheting for 7 years, and that's the one thing I have not let go of, or something that I don't just let go. And this is so cool. Everybody loved it. And so my blog ended up being crochet blog. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. Let's see where it goes.
Well, that's awesome. And it's funny because I've spoken to several makers so far that their maker journey has kind of been something that they've kind of stumbled upon, or it wasn't something that they intentionally set out to do. And then they just took their passion and ran with it, and have, started successful businesses. And I think that's awesome.
I know it's always nice to hear everybody's story, because everybody's story is so different. And I think that's what everybody should take from that you can't, so that's one of the other mistakes I did. I seemed to relate, or I can't find the right word, but try and follow the footsteps of other successful crocheter designers. And I had to step back from that and say, they're successful because of who they are individually and what they do. So I have to focus on me and who I am and what I want to put out to the world, because that's what's going to be the more genuine thing out there. So that's one thing I do. I've been thinking a lot about, staying in my own lane in a certain point of that, what's on answer, imposter syndrome.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about imposter syndrome is that, sometimes when you fall into that trap, you think, I'm the only one that feels that. And it's like, if you reach out to 9 out of 10, creatives out there that are doing what we do, just checking because it seems like your screen is frozen.
Can you hear me?
There we are. Yeah,
Oh,
I can
okay.
hear you now.
I'm sorry.
That's what happened. It's okay.
I kind of switched my internet. I don't know if that's what it was, but
That's okay. I was just saying that, the thing about imposter syndrome is that most people don't realize that most creatives, go through that as well at some point. And if not, you know, regularly, you know, all the time. I know that I'll at least once a week say, oh my gosh, like, you know, what am I doing? I don't belong doing this. And then somebody will be like, oh, you know, thank you so much for this pattern or something. And it makes you feel so much better,
Oh, yes,
right?
yes. Oh my goodness, yes. And I have recently started to focus on my husband actually kind of shined a light on it. I've been focusing on Facebook and Pinterest. And on Pinterest, I actually noticed that they were, you know how they can post made things under your photos that people have made them in the comments. I had never seen them before. And they're so cute. It's so sweet when somebody else makes what you know, shared as a pattern. It's always
Definitely.
nerve-wracking. For me, it's still every time if someone says they're gonna go and do the crochet, the pillow, the little plush fire truck that I made, someone made it, and I was so nervous the whole time. I was so nervous. Like, I hope they understand what I wrote, and I tried to make things clear. I don't know if that'll ever go away. I'm just getting a little more confident in my patterns, but yeah, that's always so sweet when you see somebody else make your things and then they post them, and it's like I want to just take a picture and put them all together. But yeah, this is really really sweet. That's kind of what keeps me going. Like, oh, there are people who like my stuff, and I'm reaching someone. You know, it's always really really cool.
Definitely. So, you said you had initially started the blog as a blog for your son or ADHD or my goodness, that's my son, um, autism, and so you made that transition to crochet, and then from there, what made you decide, you know, I'm going to try to make this my business?
So well, I say we because I was there in the room, but my husband did the analytics of how many people it reached. Like my Facebook page had reached, once I shared it to the crochet groups on Facebook, it had reached over like in the thousands of people seen the traffic on the website. And we're like,
Hmm.
whoa, this is huge. And this was back then when I don't think we had ads on our we didn't have like a Google AdSense or anything like that yet. We hadn't really, we just literally like Julie and Julia from
Yeah,
the movie. They just kind of created the blog and put things in there. And yeah, that's where kind of it started. And I was just making, honestly, I was just making for my kids. That's since the first Wonder Woman outfit to the little pumpkin patch, because we were going to a pumpkin patch. So I said my daughter needs a purse with a pumpkin on it to go to a pumpkin patch. I might as well put it on the blog. And then we're going to the zoo. She needs a little cat one. So that's the next one. So those are my first few ones up on my blog. And yeah, so everything I do, it seems to be very organic when it comes from the heart when I do for my kids.
definitely.
Um, like the washcloth. I've been such in a washcloth craze. I'm going to show you this. I don't think I'm going to share it because this whole day I spent creating a mermaid tail washcloth because my daughter loves mermaids. And I thought it was so cool, such a genius idea. And I thought it was the cutest thing. My daughter and my husband both said it looks like a bunny. So I thought it was okay. But look,
Hey, I think that's cute.
is
That
it
would be a
cute?
great, like, for like little kids for bath time. Even my
Yeah.
daughter would love that.
So when I do the washcloth, and that's the other thing, like I don't want to go into a huge, but I'm curious. Is washcloth considered different to some other people? Or like dishcloths? Because for me, washcloth are like when you go on the bathtub or like the shower
Right.
and you wash. But I know a lot of people like it for the dishcloths, but they call it a washcloth too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matters.
I think that like you use the name kind of interchangeably based on what you're using it for in that moment. Because I mean, I know definitely I have washcloths that do double duty. Obviously, after they've been through the laundry, but it's a
True.
cloth that's used for doing some sort of washing, right? So
Right, okay. I just wanted to clear that one up because I was so confused. I mean, I hope I'm not confusing people, but like, I would still use these for, teaching her how to wash the dishes, maybe. Washcloth. But yeah, so you saw it here first. I don't know if this one's gonna come out, but it would have a pocket in the back.
you should do that. It's so cute. Do a little pocket over where the mermaid fins are so you can scrub.
Oh, that's such a good idea. That's I didn't
But
think
I
about
love
that.
that one you came out with this week, right? It's hard to
Yes.
remember what day it is, but you have one recently with the little pocket, and I think that's such a great idea because that's part of my issue is when I'm washing the dishes, they're slipping all over the place, and that little pocket will
Mhm.
help keep it in place, and I think that's great.
Yes, so thank you. Yeah, there's a my kids like ball it up and then they scrub and then they
Oh
never really get really clean because I'm trying to encourage independent,
yeah, yeah,
cleanliness for them to grow up and know that they have to scrub themselves. So, um, yeah, so that's where the pocket, and it's so funny every time. And this is why I love buying patterns and doing other makers pattern as much as I can, is because while I'm in the like zone, like in the Zen mode of
yeah.
like doing Victoria's dress that I haven't posted a picture of yet, by Mont, I can never say her name, Mont Pot. Um, you've seen her dresses.
Is it
But
the Mon Pati?
yes, yes, yes. She has beautiful dresses, and I've always been admiring them for years. So I got to make one recently, and it seems like I always um, get out of my own head when I'm doing somebody else's work. And it just kind of came to me like, oh, why doesn't a washcloth have a pocket? And so that's when I'm like, I'm just gonna put a pocket in there. And then it just worked. And I thought it was pretty cool. And I wanted to keep it simple because I'm always also trying to target beginners. And so yeah, that's exciting because I mean honestly, it's out of necessity that I'm doing them because I need a lot of washcloth. Um, but we'll see what's next. I'm trying to be a little more consistent than I usually am. I jump around too much. It seems.
And it's definitely, I know that jumping around is definitely something that a lot of other creatives struggle with as well. I mean, I am definitely bad for that because you just want to go where the creativity takes you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
perfect example, I'm knitting today. I never knit, you know? And, but I'm just like, you know what? I had this urge, I'm going to relearn how to knit. So I bought some new knitting needles and I went for it. And it's like, am I behind on a whole bunch of stuff? Heck yeah, I am. But did that stop me from picking up these needles? Absolutely not. And so that's where the struggle is you want to go where that creativity takes you in, but the responsible entrepreneurial side of you is like, well, I really have that deadline and I shouldn't be doing this right
I
now.
know, I totally get you. And that's something that's been sitting with me, like now that we've been, a whole year in the process and not like really sitting down and doing a lot of work before my husband deploys in a little bit. He's been working a lot with me for a little bit, for a while. And that's what we've noticed. I mean, he kind of sees the outside in. So it's nice to get that perspective because I'm just like in the crochet zone. Like I'll
Yeah.
just make whatever I want to make. And then I feel like people are just gonna follow. But when you're thinking about it as like a blogger and you have a certain audience that follows you for a certain thing, he did mention, you should keep giving what the audience kind of wants because
Right.
if because that's what kind of came out of you the first time. So and keep going with this, and I usually go, oh, that's cool, you like this, but you know what, you're also gonna like this that I made, and it's like totally different. So that's where I kind of fight it a little bit, where it's like, well, man, everybody is liking the plush toys, but I really want to make totally different. I've been really wanting to make a top for Victoria, a little summer top, but
Mhm.
garments are my weakness. I love garments. I admire everyone who makes them. I'm in awe, but that is my weakness. For some reason, I cannot get into that. And hopefully, I'll start with little things like for her, um, and keep it in there. But yeah, like barefoot sandals doesn't really seem to be doing very well on my blog, but I keep doing them because I am obsessed with little little sandals, barefoot sandals. So yeah, I'm all over the place right now.
And so, in doing your blog, you and I have talked about it briefly about like SEO and the kind of things that you've learned. What kind of lessons do you think would be helpful for somebody new that might be interested in starting a blog?
So one of the things that I didn't used to do is before you upload your photos to your website or to your blog post, make sure that the name of the picture, and this stuck to me, the name of the picture, it goes on your blog named that, because when Google has Google image search, they also go by the name of your picture. So it's just easier if your picture that's a washcloth has, the title of your washcloth with the corner pocket. Google will, in the SEO search, in the image, they will bring people to you because that's what it is, instead of IMG54321.
Yes.
So that was really interesting to me. One of the more advanced blog things, I don't know if it's, to me, everything's a little advanced, is obviously naming all your photos, doing the excerpts at the very bottom of your blog post for Google search. Of course, making the pictures as appealing as you can. Less is more as far as like background, I think, for Pinterest. Recently I learned that Pinterest is my highest traffic, brings my highest traffic. And as of like, I think it was a few weeks ago, I went from 200,000 followers to like viewers, not followers, viewers, to 358,000 viewers
Oh, wow.
in a short minute. So now Pinterest is actually considering new content, like not just repinning your own stuff, but adding new stuff in,
Yeah.
as a priority right now. So I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool to watch. And there's nothing wrong with pinning your own things, because I know there was this 80-20 rule about pinning other people's and then pinning like 20% of your own. I think they just kind of threw out the window, and so now they're considered. So using Canva is really good for all that. Totally worth those $12.99 a month.
Yeah.
I usually keep 3 Pinterest images on my back pocket just to have it for Pinterest and repin it that way. So you
Right.
want to have multiples for Pinterest for that. And tags on your blog. You want to use your tags and make sure your tags go with your own tags on your website. So it's not like Instagram, which I thought it was like Instagram. On my tags, I would tag anything, but it's not like that. It's, my husband had shown me that less is more on your blog, just so you can connect with other washcloths. So I was mind blown with that, with the whole image thing. And so if you search Ariana Hall on Google, you would see my images
Right.
on, because for the last month, we actually backtracked 70 blog posts that have a lot of pictures in, and renamed the entire photos. And
Mhm.
under your photo, there's an alternate text that you
Yep.
can enter. Yeah, the alt text. So you can enter the description of, like, if you were describing the picture on there for Google. So everything counts. That was a
Exactly.
lot. That's why you can see why I was a little overwhelmed, and I was saying I am taking a step back from Instagram. Instagram hasn't been is the hardest algorithm to understand, to personally.
Well, yeah, and it's like when you're a blogger, it's like I don't know about you personally, but when I jumped into blogging, I literally jumped in. I was just like, I have this hat pattern. Yarn Inspirations at that time had just come out with the Karen Pantone yarn.
Mm.
I literally went out, I got the email, went to the store within 20 minutes, picked up a skein or two, and literally made a hat. And I was like, well, I've got a pattern. Make the hat 4 more times and posted it 2 days later. And that's what I did. I literally just, I had no idea what I was doing. I put my pattern up there and I was like, well, I've got a blog now. Now what? And then I started advertising. I had no idea about what proper SEO was, or like if you had said to me about like meta descriptions or alt tags, I would have been like, I have no idea. And so it's been a slow learning process over, I think it's been almost, yeah, about almost 2 years soon. So almost 2 years. And I'm still learning. It's like, because there's no guide out there that definitively says, okay, you've done X, now do, Y and Z. And so
Yeah.
that's why like connecting with other makers is great, because you learn different things from them as well. And you have to be constantly learning. It's not just you can pick
Yes.
up a book and some yarn, design some stuff, and be the next, as my husband calls it, be the next blog star.
I know. Isn't that everyone's right? I mean, we can all be blog stars. That's
Yes,
the cool thing about this. So I always see it as like there's not really a big company because there's room for everybody.
right.
Every blogger who is successful or whose name is out there the most, because it's of who they are. People love them. And that's the other thing is I need to be more present. I feel like I told my husband it's something that I've been lacking, and it's presence, because people love patterns, but I think they also love the person. Like one who also stands out for me the most is always been, and Sarah Zimmerman from Repeat Crafter Me.
Yeah.
I mean, I started with her patterns even before I even wanted to when I was even starting to learn, I was doing her owl hats and I was selling them on Etsy for baby props, because before I had my son, um, I had moved to Florida, but I was by myself. My husband was deployed. It always seems like he's always gone, but I started making baby props to keep me busy, and I loved babies, and they're so cute with their little newborn hats,
Oh, I love
and
that.
so you kind of relate to that personality, the person behind the crafts. That's who you really fall in love with. And with 2 kids running around, it's kind of hard to kind of be behind the camera a lot.
Oh, I hear that. I can't tell you how many photo shoots I've tried to do, and then I've got a kid climbing all over me, or, throwing toys, in the shot. It's, you have to try and juggle that too, right? Because your little ones still need you, and you have to be wearing a million hats. You have mom, designer, blogger, all those things, and it's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know how everyone else does it. I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea. It's such a hard, it's a challenge. Sometimes I take it as a challenge. It's day by day. Sometimes I feel like doing more than other days, which is nice. I mean, this is kind of a very nice thing to be able to do and have the support system, because that's the other important thing, if anything, of all starting a blog, is having the right support system. Even though I don't have my entire family in the town I have, everybody supporting me, even though sometimes they wouldn't understand. you know, Ariana's playing with yarn, and
Yes.
you know, but they were right there and supporting me and giving me tips of how to take pictures, and like, you're supposed to wear them. My mom she gave me such good advice, and you have to wear the stuff in order for people to see how it works. And that's so true. I mean, I would just do a flat lay of it, of everything.
Right.
It's true. You have to. So, um, yeah. So I'm gonna try. That's my next goal, is trying to be more present on social media, and and continue growing. That I'm just kind of craving the engagement of having friends everywhere. I feel like everyone's like a little friend, talking about the hook. Actually, I shared these on Facebook. Facebook seems to be the most shareable place, so that's
Yeah.
where I'm focusing my attention to right now. And everybody just loved um, Paul and Patty's crochet hook, and everybody was asking where I got it from because it's so cute. So it's also nice to be able to help other people, you know, with their business. So, oh, God, I love it. Yeah.
Well, definitely. I mean, that's why I started doing these chats, right? I get to chat with wonderful people like you, and also it helps, you introduce you to another audience that maybe weren't aware of your talents previously, right? And I think that's, you know, if we can help each other out, we're going to get a whole lot to the places we want to be a whole lot faster than we were before.
Yes, and that's why I love, you know, if someone has a platform, I want to be able to share that because I think that's what it's supposed to be for, to be able
Right.
to kind of bring things to the light. So, I'm trying to do on Fridays on my Facebook page, Feature Fridays. So hopefully that'll continue on, you know, sharing other makers and people like that. So yeah, I think being, you know, community over competition is super important. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely. There's way too much negativity in the world to be having any of that, right? It's just like, let's just have some fun and make some pretty stuff together.
I know. Yeah, so much bad.
Um, so if you had to give one your I'd say your top tip, if you had to give one tip that was like the do or die tip for somebody who's like, you know what, do I do this? I'm on the verge. I'm not sure if I want to do this business or not. What would you say to them?
Oh my goodness.
I know I'm asking the hard hitting questions now. It's
That is
been 15.
you came prepared with the big guns. Oh man, I if okay, I always do this. If you ask yourself what you want to do, and inside, like even right now, I'm thinking about me crocheting and being a big vlogger, you know, because obviously you have the dream board and you know where you want to be. Um, if it makes you nervous inside and if it tickles you and you know, if you have to let go of what other people think. Who cares
Yes.
if so and so doesn't like it. But if you like it and you think, oh, this can be huge, then go for it. Because nobody else is going to believe in you more than you yourself are. And that's how everybody makes it. Nobody else is going to do it for you.
Right.
That's the thing. So, and I'm that kind of person who was, I mean, if it wasn't for my husband, like I would just be on the couch, kind of just, what if I did this? And what if I did that? You know, he was like the tech he got in there. But yeah, you know, and if you don't, yeah, nobody else is going to do it for you unless you want to. And if that's your dream, go for it because there's only one life. You might, you know, you can do so many things in one day. You can start a blog, a website for free, even. You know, you don't need AdSense right away. Just start it and share it. Yeah, sharing is free. Marketing is free. Pinterest is free. So I say go for it. There's so many ways to get there, you know?
Definitely. And that's my thing for when people ask me, because I get the question a lot, is like, how do you do it? And, how did you get started? And honestly, I just say just do it. Sure, I didn't at first grow as quickly as I wanted to, but you know what? That was me. That was my expectations. And ultimately, you just have to go for it because, like you said, no one's going to do it for you. And if crochet is the thing that lights your soul on fire, then you've got to do it. Don't just sit there and wait for somebody to notice you. Put your stuff out there. Talk to people, make those connections, and just do the next best thing or that you can think of for you and your business, right? And I think
Yes,
that's the best you can do.
absolutely. Even when I was starting, I know you know, sharing on Facebook was a huge thing at that first beginning. You know, you do a blog post and you're trying to get it out to the world because you can't just do a blog post and just kind of sit back and be like, oh, people are gonna find me. You can
Yeah, it's
have like,
like I'm a star now.
yeah,
I get
oh,
trouble.
people are gonna find me. And you know, you can have the best SEO, but I think you have to be also your marketing director. You're your own marketing director. So even on Facebook, I'm on groups and I know where and when to share it. And
Mhm.
you know, because some of them have rules, but my husband's like, did you share it here? And I was like, no, because I don't want to overdo it. And he looked at me like, it's your thing. Like, why don't do overdo it? And
Yeah.
now I am just like, I don't care. I'm just gonna post where I can. Obviously, not trying to be spammy. I don't do it all the time because I understand. Like I've seen other people do that, and but I get it. I get it now. Like they're grinding for their own business, and I at this point now I'm like, good for you, you know. So
Yeah,
that's
the hustle is real.
the hustle. Yes. Oh my God, the hustle is real for sure. Especially because you're trying to get seen and social media happens in a blink of an eye and then, you know, like Instagram, you just start over the next day hoping to be seen by someone. But yeah.
Well, it's true. And like you said, no one's going to do it for you, and you have to be your advocate, and you have to, take the steps to get it out there. Because, I mean, you could potentially just, hit that publish button and somebody find you, but at the end of the day, between and, usually you're found because of the, you've done that hustle, right? You've put yourself out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the hardest part, trying to put yourself out there. And once you've done that, um, you know, hustling for yourself should be the best, you know, the easiest thing you can do.
Right.
And then you meet cool people. See, like this.
Okay, no one's accused me of being cool before, but I'll take it.
Yeah. It's so funny. Oh my gosh.
So we wanted to play a game together.
Yeah.
And as always, I encourage the people who are watching, if you want to play along, this is always a fun game for our audience to play along with. And so we're going to play Would You Rather Crochet Edition. And so I'm going to ask Ariana some questions of what would she rather. And if you have an answer, feel free to let us know. And we'll be looking for your comments because we want to hear what you would rather do as well. All
Yay.
right, so I start off easy because I'm nice like that. Would you rather crochet or knit?
Crochet. Yes.
Can you knit?
I definitely like to knit. I do, but I think I do that more. I'm a slower knitter. I kind of got the hang of continental knitting. But definitely crochet definitely takes my heart with those beautiful hooks now. Yeah.
Hey, good tools and pretty tools make a big difference, right?
So big. The cute pouches. I got my little needles and my little stitch markers. Like it's just so cute. Yeah, and I love the crochet. And it's faster, even though it eats more yarn faster, but I'd rather definitely crochet.
Yeah, me too. I mean, as I knit, but I mean, I'm so slow. This is all I've gotten done in this time. So,
It was so hard for me to get to knitting. I did More Thunder's tank top. It took me
okay.
so long. It
Oh,
was like
wow. I wouldn't even attempt that at this point. Um, would you rather do a quick and easy pattern or a longer pattern that teaches you something new?
ooh. What was the which one was the first one?
A quick and easy pattern or a longer pattern that teaches you something new?
Well, I did recently made my daughter's dress with Mon
Mhm.
Pop de Lavon. I'm probably butchering that, but
Okay. It's French.
um
It's
it's in French. Okay, I knew it wasn't. It was like oh man, I think it depends, but usually I would like a challenge like that dress. That challenge was so, and it came out so pretty. And then that's when you trust designers too. Like when I like a challenge, I took a risk because sometimes you don't know what you're gonna get with new
right.
challenging new patterns. But I was totally in love with this one for sure. Something new.
All right, awesome. And then it looks like Ginger says she would also like to do something new.
And there's my husband saying Emperor's New Groove for some reason. He's in the.
I
I
wondered if
told
it
him,
was like
don't
a
watch
spam
the
bot.
live. It makes me nervous. Okay.
I was just like, is this a spam bot? I'm just going to ignore it. Emperor's New Groove. What is this?
It's my husband.
I love
Yeah,
it.
he's upstairs. Hey, Matt.
Would you rather use store-bought yarn or hand-dyed / indie yarn?
Why do you do this to me?
These are the easy ones.
I would die for having like handmade indie yarn, obviously, but Hobby Lobby is where it's at with that 30% discount. That's my go. That's my go-to is Hobby Lobby yarn. I'm obsessed. I feel so bad. I had someone comment on Facebook that the yarn was so pretty, and I said it's at Hobby Lobby named Easter Nova, and she says, "Oh, I live in the UK."
Yeah, we don't have them here too. And I've had, there we go. Sorry, the video paused for some reason.
Oh,
Um, we've had several different designers come on and say, "Oh, Hobby Lobby yarn," and I'm like, "Oh, I can't get it here." The conversation totally like just goes downhill from there. I'm like, and we end up talking about all the yarn that I can't get.
yes, and it scares me also. One thing that scares me about like handmade yarn is that you really have to order the exact quantity of yards that you would need for a project, like because then I honestly wouldn't know what to make with it. So yeah, I can go to the store real quick and buy the same lot number again.
Well, yeah, definitely, and it's probably going to be there afterwards, right? So, there's
Yeah.
not too many limited edition, store-bought yarns. Um, would you rather have to hide your yarn from your partner forever or share your stash with them? What do you think, Matt? Do you want to share Ariana's yarn stash?
My yarn has overtaken our office space wall and our living room space with like two huge like basically it's our decoration in our house. And I still hide yarn. So I think I heard someone on the live said something really smart, and they said I think I would share my yarn because that way you can keep, buying more and using it.
Yes.
And I was like, that's so brilliant.
I think that was Bonnie, yeah.
Yeah, that's so smart. Yeah, definitely share. Sharing is caring. So you can
Exactly.
buy more.
It's like you're suddenly sharing, they have no interest, but you're like, we share now.
Yeah, I
We
know. My
share now, I
husband,
need more.
oh, I think he's close to wanting to learn to crochet just so we can, do more blog posts as we go. So be
That's
careful
awesome.
what you wish for, Matt.
Um, Let me see. Ginger says she has all of her yarn on display. So Ginger was on the live with me before, and she has this gorgeous like, yarn wall in the middle of her house, and that's where she filmed her live with me. And I'm just so jealous. She has like an amazing stash, and so does her
Oh,
mom.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just so pretty to look at. Right now, my yarn, it's a mess right now because we just been stashing toys and clutter and stuff. And I'm not even kidding you. My 2-year-old, she was just staring at at the shelves, and she's like, "Mom, look at all your yarn." And she starts laughing, and I said, "Oh yeah, what about it?" She's like, "It's so messy." Thanks. 2-year kids don't lie. So I think that means I need to clean it up a little bit before I take more pictures of my yarn shelves.
Because just before quarantine, I went to go to Michael's to pick up a ball of yarn, and we hadn't told the kids where we're going. And my son's like, "Where are we going?" And my husband's like, "Oh, Mom needs to go stop by Michael's." And he just like my son just flips out, and he's just like, "Michael's?" He's like, "The yarn store, Mom? You have way too much yarn. I don't want to go there." And he's like, I'm not going there. And he just like crosses his arm. I'm not getting out. He's like, you can't make me. I'm not getting more yarn. You have too much yarn. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like maybe I have a problem. Like,
That would be my son. Oh my God. My family's from Texas and they've never seen my yarn stash. And most of it has been my Matt's mom. She kind of sent me all the yarn that she was done with crochet and knitting. So she sent me all her yarn stash, which was a lot. She's the one who inspired me and taught me tricks. And she sent it all. And my sister who'd never seen my yarn stash, which is huge, well, I mean, well, what I consider, over on the table. And she comes over and she opens my door. She'd already seen my 2 shelves that are like 10 feet tall. And she
oh,
comes into my room and she's like, oh my God, you have a problem. And I said, I have more in the closet. Oh, so
yeah. People who come over to my house for the first time. So people who come to my first house for the first time have no idea. And so right in the front of my house, because we have an open concept floor plan, along the long wall of the house are a bunch of like cabinets. And my husband bribed me with these cabinets because he bought himself a huge TV 1 year for Boxing Day. And so he's just like, oh, let's go to IKEA and get you those really nice cabinets you want with the nice glass doors. I'm like, oh, great. Not knowing that this TV was on the way. And so he's like, now you have a place to put all your yarn. And so because it has glass front doors, like they're packed full of yarn. And I've got yarn in other places throughout the house and behind me here. And so people who come in, walk in, they're like, what? and now my family, that they come over, they're used to it now, and they're just like, you got some new stuff in there, eh? Because they noticed like the colors move around and like, oh, what's that one? I like that one. And I'm like, I'm not making you anything, so don't get any ideas.
I know that's the hard thing too about being like a maker and like a blogger is that you want to make things for everybody because I'd be like, oh man, like I can't. I have this idea in my head. I need to get out.
Sam, I love what Ginger is saying. She says, if so much yarn is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Yeah, that's right.
We need t-shirts, Ginger. We need those with t-shirts with that on it.
Yes, it's just so pretty in the colors, and I can just imagine your yarn behind the glass doors. I mean, that's just pretty. They're decoration too.
So for our next question, so my husband made up this question, and it's funny, and I'm sure you've heard me ask it on the other one, but I can't get rid of it now because it's just too good. Would you rather crochet while getting your teeth done at the dentist or while having your legs waxed?
I think I remember I couldn't really put my finger on which one I would choose when I heard it. It's like, that's such a good question. That's a good would you rather. Oh man, I am a claustrophobic. Like I'm claustrophobic. So when they're working on my teeth, even this past 2 months ago, I had to like breathe in really hard to like not get anxiety. And they kept asking, are you okay? So maybe while I'm getting my teeth cleaned because it would maybe relax me to focus on something else.
Yeah, definitely, because it causes a lot of anxiety for people to go to the dentist. And for so many people like myself, like when I get anxiety, I crochet more. So I crochet a lot. And so if I'm going to the dentist, I think that it would probably help.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
I don't even care if I can see it or if it turns out being anything great. It's just the action of, yarn and hook and, focusing on something other than what I call the ticker tape going on in your head.
Yes, just like double crochets every row. Something that's like 500 stitches or something.
By the end, you've got a blanket.
I know. And the funny thing is, remember I told you that this is what inspired my crochet, and I said, I need to learn how to make that blanket. Besides the whale blanket and like my son's like little knitted blanket, I've never made this big blanket before in 7 years. My goal is still to make a blanket. That's my next one. I want to make a blanket, a pattern blanket. But yeah, oh my goodness.
Would you rather have an endless supply of yarn or never have to weave in your ends again?
Ooh, endless supply of yarn. I would totally do that.
Definitely.
Yes, 100 times over, yes. Actually, I find it kind of relaxing weaving ends, and it might sound crazy because I've actually watched this like multiple times, obviously with this one, and the ends come out, and I
Mhm.
will just be watching TV and like sewing the ends back in there, and I don't know, I find it kind of relaxing. Not if I'm like in a time crunch,
Yeah,
but if that's my goal for the day, it's kind of relaxing. It's kind of nice. It's mindless, mindless actions.
definitely. But you still feel like something you're getting something accomplished too.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It's almost like, oh, I'm almost done with this. It's getting done.
Would you rather be stuck on a deserted island without your hook or without your yarn?
Without my hook, because I've seen people, I mean, I've seen those wooden hooks, and that's what comes to my mind that I can maybe, you know, somehow make a crochet hook in my mind with some rocks.
You'd figure it out.
Yes, I'll be trying to get crafty. Yes.
I keep telling my husband, I said, it's not just a craft, it's an apocalyptic life skill.
Yes, we're in it right now, right? We're making everything, and we've trained for this all of our lives to stay home and crochet.
Right? Like I was made for this. I
Yeah.
am
Yes. This is my life. I know, and then I kind of miss it. And oh my goodness, I never go anywhere anyway. But I did want to go to at least some stores. Like I did want to go to like Hobby Lobby.
right. Um, would you rather, if you only could only choose one, would you rather crochet with thread or chunky yarn for the rest of your life?
Oh, that's a hard one because I love, if I had to choose between the two, ooh, it would take me longer, but I love working with thread than I do with chunky yarn, if I can say that for some reason. Um, yeah. Like I would do with chunky yarn, the only thing I like to make are knitted hats, and it has to be a
Mhm.
certain like brand, like Lion Brand's Color Made Easy. Love that. Wait, I'll change my answer. If I could choose Color Made Easy and it had a wide variety of colors, I would choose chunky yarn. But it had to be that specific chunky yarn.
And say, is it chunky? Is it a chunky weight there? Because here it's worsted weight or was worsted weight. We only had it for like maybe a month, maybe two. I haven't,
Really?
yeah.
I have one and I thought it was a 5, right? That's chunk. Is
Yeah.
that chunky?
Oh, here,
Bulky? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Someone can maybe correct us. But I think it was only because I've knitted a hat from Needles in Love, Callie, and she suggested the Color Made Easy, and she does some beautiful knitted hat works. I totally recommend all her hats. I'm obsessed with all her hats. I think I own almost all her patterns. Stick to all her patterns.
Let's see, what's our next question? Would you rather crochet with a cheap hook or cheap yarn?
Mm. Um, Man, it's so hard after trying Patty's hook. It's so hard, but I would say I would rather crochet with a cheap hook. You use it. So, definitely.
And say I would probably choose the cheap hook too.
Yeah.
I always say it. Life's too short for scratchy yarn.
Oh my gosh, yes. After you kind of know what yarn works the best, you kind of, want more of that, of that soft yarn. Yeah.
Um, would you rather never be able to use your favorite 5 yarns again, or only use your favorite 5 yarns for the rest of your life, but you can never ever use a new yarn again?
Ooh. You know what? Because I am obsessed with Hobby Lobby's both yarns, I would say I would just stick to those bodies. Those. Oh, someone said it does say 5 bulky. Yes, the Color Made Easy is 5 bulky.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could have sworn it was a 4 when it came out here, but I never even had a chance to buy it because it came out like the end of the summer and then I went away on vacation, and I came back, had projects to work on, and then I went back to go and get some and it was gone. And sometimes it's just too pricey to ship to Canada, right? So it's like there's always other new yarns, unfortunately.
Oh
So
my goodness,
sometimes
there's so I can't keep up. That's why I kind of stick with Hobby Lobby, which might be a little bit, I feel like there's a lot of yarn that's trending right now that is really pretty, but I can't keep up with all the new yarns coming out. And the only project I've done with the Color Made Easy is, besides the hats, is the Crochet Unicorn Pillow that also got me a little known on Ravelry. A little out there, just a little bit, but it helped a lot. Yeah, that I made the pillow because it was so soft and it worked up so fast, which is my 2 favorite things.
so this is gonna sound bad, but if it's fast and easy, then I usually like to make it.
Hey, we're hooked. I mean, people were thinking it, right?
Yeah, everyone was thinking it.
It just comes with the name.
It does, right? I mean, the first time I used the hashtag hookers of Instagram, I was just like, this seems wrong.
It does. Some people don't like it. It's a very, but I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I can laugh at that so
Yeah, I try not to take things too seriously like that. It's like whatever. It's like it is what it is. You're using a hook. Come on.
right? It just makes sense. Spoken like a true. Oh my gosh. Oh, you just have to, yeah, go with the, yeah. So funny.
Where would you rather crochet? In a room full of screaming kids or a bunch of people yelling out random numbers?
In a room of yelling kids, because I can tune them out now. I'm so
Spoken
good
like a
at that.
true mom.
I for some reason, like, my kids can be yelling and screaming, but then there's one little sound that is a true cry. But
Yes.
other than that, they're tuned out. Yeah.
Yeah, my husband's like, don't you hear that? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, they're not hurt. They're fine. They're playing. They're fine.
Right. As long as they're, I kind of, my house is still almost like baby toddler proofed, even for a 4 and 2-year-old. Oh my goodness. So yeah, room of screaming kids. I can do that in a heartbeat. Do it every day.
Would you rather do easy projects with constant deadlines or difficult projects with no deadline?
Ooh. This one's hard because it speaks to me right now in the moment. I would rather do big projects with no deadline. That would be my goal. This is why I'm kind of, I don't know how crochet designers team up with yarn companies, or I'm assuming there's deadlines for things to come up with things. And I did that to myself one time, and that was hard. My creativity sank because I wasn't being creative because I was nervous and being pressured. So big projects, you would need a deadline.
No, I said you were focused on the deadline.
Yeah, rather than the project itself, rather than being the creative. But I'm trying to get there. I need deadlines, but I'd rather do big projects with no deadline.
Well, I'm just going to warn everybody that we're approaching the hour timeline, so Instagram might shut us down. We'll come right back if it does. I'm like so happy that I noticed that we're getting close to that, because I've gotten cut off before and it doesn't give me the warning every time. So I just didn't
Oh,
want anyone to think that I've hung up on you or anything. We're like 15 seconds away from getting cut
wow.
off. So what we'll do is we'll sign off now because we have about 7 seconds, and I'll see you back here in 2 seconds.
Okay.
Instagram was not made for chatterboxes like me. Say they want me to shut up after an hour and I'm not ready.
Oh my goodness. It hasn't even felt like
All right.
before. This feels so fun.
Well, it's like when we're enjoying ourselves, you never know how much time goes by, right? And so every time I go to Michael's, my husband calls it the yarn vortex or the Michael vortex, because I go in and I'm like, I'm going to be 5 minutes. Like I swear 5 minutes. And no matter how long I think I've been there, like I swear I've gone in and I swear I'm in and out. And my husband's like, you've been in there for 25 minutes. Like
No
absolutely
way.
no way. And he shows me a clock and he's not wrong. So I'm like, I'm like, did I walk in slow motion? Did I like black out and somebody just kind of revived me and put me on my way? And I just don't remember. Like, what happened in there where I just lost 15 minutes because I thought I was only 5?
I can totally relate to that because I don't really like to drive, and when my husband's home, I usually always kind of this is why they don't never go with me because I would say, hey, what if we take the kids for lunch? You drive me by Michael's, I'll get off really quickly, and then the kids can eat their lunch in the car, and like this so thought out process, and
Yeah,
they never want to because it's never really quick.
yeah, never.
Oh, come on. I'll just be in and out. I just know exactly what I'm getting.
Yeah.
I can't. They won't.
Oh yeah, and I've said that so many times. I'm like, I know exactly what I'm getting. And my intent is real. My intent is true. Like I do intend to go straight to that yarn, get it and get out. But somewhere between the door and that skein of yarn I'm going for, 20 minutes goes by and I don't know how it happens.
I know. I do the same. Like I go for my yarn and then I kind of browse through because that way if my time is up in my head, in my head, then I can just rush out the door. I'm checking out. And I'm like running to check out. So, oh my gosh, it's never real quick.
Would you rather have more time to crochet or more money for yarn and hook?
Ooh. I would have probably more money for yarn and hooks. I mean, you can never, I mean, I am going to be an obsessed Patty and Paul's crochet styles hooks, like I swear. I was already talking to my husband today, and I know Patty's on here. He was right next to me, and I did say, I was like, oh, they're also having like an oopsie sale, and I'm so excited to see the colors that are there. And there's like this apricot one that I really liked, and I need to get this in a 5 and a 6 just in case I make a blanket. So I'm getting more. And everybody's been, oh my God, okay. I can talk about those all day because I love them. And not only they look pretty, but they do, like, my hand is just like floating on it. If that is so weird. Like it literally like floats. Like it's floating.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I haven't tried them yet. My friend Ashley, I mean, Ashley, my
Yes.
American twin.
Yes. Well, she's the one who created she was the collab with this one.
Yes.
She was the collab for
So
this one.
that's the one that kind of like brought them to my attention, because she and I have pretty much the same taste in a lot of stuff. And I was like, "Ooh, that's so pretty." And then so when she told me she collaborated on it, I'm like, "Okay, now that makes sense."
Yeah.
But it's like I'm really like attached to metal hooks. And although I've been tempted, I'm like, oh, plastic, I'm not sure. But you guys, like, there's a bunch of you that I've now spoken to. I think probably the fourth person now in the lives that has said how great they are. And I think
Yes.
that's awesome. Probably what the dollar is better, probably have to take a look at them.
Yes, because I can't imagine the shipping. The shipping. Is it very expensive?
It depends on who supplies it, but like that's why I can't buy from certain yarn suppliers unless the dollar's really good, because once you get your duties and your exchange rates and then your shipping, you know, that $50 yarn purchase is now, 85 to 90.
Mm, my goodness.
So yeah, so I just wish that there was more Canadian suppliers for these kind of things. Um, I mean, I'd happily be a hook pusher and sell them in Canada for people. A distributor, a Canadian distributor.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I hope one day, or at least, the dollar is good, like you said, because yeah, because it's considered international shipping
Yes, for some of them, yes.
for some of them. Okay. Oh.
Unless they have like a Canadian distributor, right? So
Gotcha. I'm learning
plus I've
something
been
new.
waiting on a package for over a month from the US, and I'm just like getting really antsy about it now. Like it's got to come someday. One of these days it's going to be here, I swear.
It will, it should, with the, everything, getting better. I mean, I'm sure they should figure it out soon.
Yeah. All right, let's see with our next question here. Would you rather have to always use a color that you hate or always have to use a yarn fiber that you dislike?
Oh, okay. I don't think I've heard this one. Um, color that I hate or fiber that I hate. Usually when I'm looking at yarn, I always look at the fiber, so I think I would say the color that I hate because the way it feels to me is number one for sure.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I think, unfortunately, I would do the color I hate, but I've worked with so many different colors that I don't think it's too much. Wouldn't be too big of a deal. Bigger, broader audience I would get.
Um, would you rather watch a YouTube tutorial or do a written/photo tutorial?
So I'm I would love to do more. I'm kind of a written pattern kind of girl. Like I just like to print the pattern out and just look at it and I'll figure it out for myself. But when I do have like a stitch thing, I'd rather go to a video for sure rather than a step-to-step guide picture because I get confused. The only thing I've ever gotten confused in and what's helped was a picture was for some reason it's almost like how some people forget how to spell Wednesday, and it's like is the D before the N or the N or the so for me it was like what's the second chain from the hook, is it this one or the third? For some reason that was always like my issue, like I can never remember. And so so dumb. So, but yeah, I don't know if anybody else had that problem, but it was always confusing. It's like I need to be more confident in that knowledge of where the second chain from the hook is.
Well, I think for a lot of people, like they have something like that where they get hung up on it, right? Like, or if something that even though they've done it a million times, they forget how to do it, right? Um, there's always something like for me, like I've done foundation chains a million times, right? I can do foundation half, foundation doubles to the chain to the cows come home.
To the
But
window.
if you ask me to do foundation single, which is easier than the other two, I'm sitting there with my hook and my yarn. I'm like, Obviously, this is not a hook. This is my needles.
Yeah.
But I'm like sitting there going, wait, how do I do that again? And I could have literally just done a foundation half, and I'm still like,
Yes, and I had never done or needed to do a foundation chain. I did a half double crochet foundation chain. My mind was blown, and I didn't do it until recently this winter. I'm doing a crochet, Crazy for Crochet Mama's headband. There's one.
Yep.
Oh my God, I loved it. And it's her headband.
Right?
So beautiful. And like she's talented. I was like, this is great because it stretches with it. I mean, it's just brilliant. I was blown away. I was like, I had no idea this foundation chain was a game changer, especially for garments. That would be really good for garments. I've never seen it, as a foundation chain, or maybe there will be soon.
And say, Ashley is here, and she said, "Bah, I was just gonna say this. We are twins."
Really?
Um, but yeah, foundation chains are definitely like a big game changer. And when I first learned them, I was actually doing a garment, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, where has this been my whole life?" Um, and it's crazy how much of a time saver it can be, like once you get the hang of it, right? Because my first time doing this, I was just like, this is not fast at all. What are they talking about? This is so much harder. And I'm like, when I look back, I'm like, gosh, like you were such a noob doing it. Like give yourself some time. Like you're not going to be
Yes.
Speedy Gonzalez your first time out of the gates.
Yes, and that's what I think as we continue crocheting for so long, we get to a certain speed, and then when you learn
Yeah.
something new, you're like, oh, this is not fun, this is not cool, and then I just need to practice some more, and this is amazing. Because then you start over, and that's the thing about continuing education and continuing crochet. It's always mind blowing, and I've even heard some even experienced crocheters even more than me realizing some certain stitches that are new, and I was like, oh wow, like it's endless, which I love, because I never want to hit a point where I'm like done learning everything. Like that would be boring. Like I need to learn new things, new techniques, and foundation chain is one of those that I think everyone should give it a try.
Definitely. Now she says she watches foundation tutorials all the time, even though she does them all the time, and they're the best.
They are, they're
They
so
are. But then,
stretchy. I love that stretchy part.
yeah, I was gonna say there's so many. The thing I love about crochet is that there's so many new things. There's always something new to learn, right? Like I absolutely love crochet cables. Love them.
Really?
Yes, and so I think it's because I really like knit cables, but my knitting is subpar. I mean, this is how far I am now. Uh, and so I really love the look of cables. And then like once I got the hang of them, I'm like, oh man, this is great. But then you see people like forget Brianna K Designs, I think
Yes,
the name.
yes,
Her cable work is incredible.
it is.
And like, I stumbled across her on Instagram. I'm like, holy smokes. It's like, well, now I've got to learn all over again.
Oh, well, actually,
But
when
it's so worth it.
she is so good. I was this close to making her honeybee tank top that she had.
Mhm.
But my bust is just too overwhelming for those kind of tank tops. But it's so beautiful that, maybe one day. But it's so beautiful. I love it. She's brilliant. But I have a story with really quickly with the cables. A year ago when I started my blog, I was trying like maybe I should learn some new techniques. So I had like a free trial on Blueprint. I think it was Blueprint. And there's teachers there, there's instructors that have lesson plans for you to learn basically anything. So I was learning how to do cable crochet.
Okay.
It was so hard. I
Was
never,
that Shannon Mullet Bosley or Bosley Mullet? Mullet Bosley that
I
taught
don't
that?
I don't remember their names, but they were very, I loved they were very, the way they spoke and the way they taught. It was so sweet, but I just found it so challenging. I, I couldn't do it. So I went on to knitting cables because that to me seemed a little bit easier than crochet. But hey, if you do a tutorial of doing crochet cables, I would totally watch it.
So actually, I'm planning on doing one because I love them. But I think the cable class is possibly Shannon Mullet Bosley. I think that's what his last name is. Because I was actually going to take that last year, but it's just because I absolutely love him.
Yes, yes.
I have his book. I've seen a bunch of his stuff, and I'm just like, okay, I love this guy. His course is going to be amazing. So, um,
Oh,
And he's so talented, so talented.
I think I remember. So you're talking about a man. I think
Yeah.
I did see. No, these were two older ladies.
Oh, okay.
She's a very petite lady with like a really her hair was pulled back and she had like a little swept bang. I think I remember, and she was just very very gently speaking and I was like, oh, I'm gonna learn, but I think I rush into things too fast and I just want to learn really really fast and that's you know that's when the anxiety kicks in and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
So I think we all get that at some point where you're just so eager to get to the finished project that you just jump in and then you're just like, okay, this isn't happening as fast as I want. On to the next thing.
Yeah, and that's kind of like not taking my own advice because people who want to learn how to crochet, that's basically what you tell them, like be patient, start with your singles, doubles, half doubles, and they're like, no, I want to knit a dress with shells on them. And they could. I've seen people do it where they just like pick it up and they're just amazingly talented. But yeah, besides that, need to be patient with yourself is something I need to keep in mind. Because crochet cables look so pretty. They look really, really
Yeah.
pretty.
And then I think you made a good point, and that's something that I would actually say to somebody that was planning on starting or thinking about starting their own blog or thinking about doing the designing. It's specifically for a blog. Patience is such a vital part of it, right? Because I think that people go online and see what the blog income reports
Yeah.
for certain individuals, and those people are making, I don't know, like $9,000-$10,000 a month,
That's
and
crazy.
they're like, it's so easy, you can do it here, just
Oh my
sign up at
gosh, you opened a can of worms for me.
they're like sign up through my link and you can make $9,000 a month too, just like me. It's so easy. But I'm not saying that people can't do that, but they're definitely not doing that overnight. They're definitely not probably even going to do it within the first year. And that's the thing that I don't like about those kind of posts and stuff is that they don't tell you all the work that goes into it or all of the facets that make up that business and how long it actually takes them to be making that kind of money.
Oh yeah.
um,
And
and the hours and hours of work. It's like, sure, you might make $9,000 in a month, which would be amazing, but you worked 80-hour weeks every week for 3 months
oh yeah.
to get that. So it's it's one of those things that patience, it's the long game, it's the long-term game. It's not going to be overnight success in 6 months. You could be, but the vast majority, it's not. It's a long-term strategy you have to be looking at.
And that's the other thing. I actually have a personal experience with start when I started my blog. I actually knew personally someone who had a very successful blog, and they did on their blog say that, they posted 2 posts a day. Totally different, you know, I, thing. So she actually had a guide on how to start up a blog. And I think that was my mistake because we went into it thinking, well, I'm going to buy this guide and I'm going to follow whatever she did and host from the same host and get the same website and everything. And it ended up wasting a lot of time for us and a lot of money because whatever she was using was probably not what she was currently using anymore, and she was still selling it. And I wish I could say, yeah. And so you have to be careful if you do buy those certain types of guides because the research is free out there. If you want to get to see how someone is doing on Pinterest, just go to their Pinterest and see what they're doing consistently, and
Right.
it's for free. You don't have to pay money. Well, because I learned the hard way, it kind of backfired on me. So I feel very differently about those guides because I've been personally, backtracked from those. And so it's like it's not hard. I mean, that's one of the things I'm sure every of them will tell you too. It's them, it's who they are that made them popular. It's not it's not really too much of like the techniques, because whatever techniques might have worked for them, not might work for you. I mean, the first thing you need to know with the blog is like you can go to WordPress, get yourself a Google Sense. I was telling my husband he should probably write the whole thing that he did, so people can see it and not have to waste their time on going and basically doing what we did wrong the first time. um, but that'll come with time, because that was a lot of information for sure. But yeah, no, that kind of, I'm trying to stop myself from talking too much about that topic of those, because we are live. But yeah, that definitely kind of triggers me a little bit for sure.
Well, that's the thing is like, and there is a lot of information out there. Some of it's outdated, some of it's, helpful, some of it not so much. Some of it's, more self-interested than not. And you have, if you are genuinely wanting to get into this, you have to be capable of taking a look at those things and making decisions for yourself and your business, and realizing that although it looks really nice on paper or in this instance on screen, it might not necessarily work for you. And there might be gaps in what's being presented.
Oh my God, yes. I wish there could be a disclaimer with that, because I feel like, people are dropping bomb amount of money on these things, and I know we're probably thinking the same thing because I can feel like we're on the same street. Yeah, it's a pet peeve of mine, and it's just this information shouldn't be. Although I get it, but it shouldn't be have to pay for it. That information should be free. I don't know. That's in my mind. I don't know. It's just community over competition. Why? Like, it gets to me. Whew, it's hot in here. Next question.
So one of the topics that I have come up a lot, and I meant to ask this earlier, and then I just forgot because mom brain. um, was that I think a lot of people feel this pressure to what's called niche down, right? And when, especially like when you're crocheting, and I've personally felt this pressure. I've talked to people about this thought is like, do I need to niche down even further beyond just crochet designs? Do I need to niche down within that topic as well, right? Like, should I just be doing my amigurumi designs? Is that something that you think is a necessity for a blogger, or do you think that crochet is niche enough?
So that's a really good question. Because I actually have had this conversation with my husband, and it's such a conflicting topic. Because as a crocheter, you start off with a passion to make things, so you want to make all the things.
Right.
But then you start a blog, and then you start thinking about it in a business perspective, and obviously you want to make revenue while you still create things for free for people. And that's one of the other answers I have is, it's who you are, right? It has to fit in with your persona. Like, I remember I always follow favorite my favorite, like, one time I attached to like my favorite crochet designer or crochet buddy, and like people I admire, I kind of always try and seek out their podcasts and like where they are. So I remember Sarah Zimmerman, they asked her like, how do you get popular, or how do you get to where you are? Don't quote me, but they asked her this question, and she said like, find something that you're good at and stick with it and create things from it. And I was like, well, maybe that's from her hats, because she created her hats and that's how she got popular. So sticking to one thing for her worked to get her to that point where now she can do anything she wants.
Right.
So I think it depends. And then you have other people who they niche down their colors. I mean, you can also do that. If you want to niche down, you're like, I don't want to niche down my projects. You can niche down to a colorway and just use those colors, and that will create your brand. And that's a brand color because it's important. And I'm slowly learning that. And I've noticed that I gravitate to colorful things, and it used to be more neutrals. And as much as I love watching neutral colorways and brands and browns and pinks, my world is super tie-dyed colors right now. And I'm loving it, and people are loving it. So I'm gonna go with it for sure. Um, I'd say, man, it's because you never want to disrupt anybody else's dream, right? It's like you'd have to niche down, because when my husband told me like people are going to want for you for one thing, we should focus on this. I was kind of, oh, well, I want to make a shirt. Something I've never made in the world. So I'm probably like not the great person to say that, answer that question right now, but I would totally say that if you want to niche down, I would totally consider looking at what your brand is. If you want to make, if your brand is mermaid colors, then you can do mermaid amaguru, mermaid washcloths, mermaid, something that's attached to who you are. I think that's, you know, you can niche down that way. There's so many ways you can niche your niche. You can go
Right.
that
A perfect example of that is Crazy for Crochet Mama, Miranda.
yes.
Absolutely stunning projects. I don't feel like she's hedged herself in any capacity in terms of what she makes, but it's all color all the time, all beautiful, right? And so, you know, that's a perfect example where she's, you know, she's branded herself as, you know, the colorful crocheter essentially.
Yeah.
It's like even my aunt who doesn't use like Instagram or Facebook very much, I was talking about a pattern Miranda had released a little while ago, and she's like, oh, is that the girl with all the color on her feed? I love her. And I'm like, yeah, see, and again, that's her brand message is she's all about color, right? So
Yes, it's she's so vibrant and colorful, and she's very herself. Like you
yeah.
know that's Miranda when you see her. And you know like she's just pumping out things from left to right. And I'm like, well, I don't know how she does it. But I love her earworm. I couldn't help it but get it. I mean, that was yeah, and people yeah, and yeah, man, I would like to hear her side of her story. I mean, I sometimes watch her when she is online. She's been kind of not online lately, but when she is, I definitely like I'm on there just to see what comes out of her brain. She soak it in. She seems like really cool, and she's also a mom, which is also, you know, she creates these great things out of thin air.
So I'm just gonna see if anybody has any questions for you before I let you go here, because I know that you have little ones too, and I hear mine upstairs
Oh.
not going to bed. Like there's the first. So if anybody has any questions for Ariana, please let us know. If you don't already follow her on Instagram, please do so. She has a really great feed. She has a lot of really fun things that she's sharing. And I really hope she shares her mermaid tail face cloth that she
This
showed
one.
us earlier. Yes.
My daughter
Um,
said it looked like a bunny, which I mean she's not wrong, I guess. Like,
um, you're totally like in the spirit of Sarah Zimmerman. You turn it around, put a bow on it, and in Easter, it's a bunny. And right now, it's a mermaid tail. See? If I've learned anything from Sarah Zimmerman, and because I'm also a big fan of hers, is repurpose the stuff you already have to be more efficient. And that's what she does with her hats. She uses the same hat pattern over and over again and changes it up a little bit. And that's how she can whip out these hats over and over again. And she only has to pay for tech editing one time.
whoa, man, and that's the other thing. Like, wonder, like, she did all that math, but yeah, tech editing for just one time, and geez, that's awesome.
I'll send you the podcast that I listened to where she said that. She's got some really great tips in there.
Oh, please, yes, because I can't even remember where I just that little snippet of like repurposing. That's what I think that's all I remember her hearing. Maybe it was just like a little clip of her sharing what she said, but yeah, definitely keeping that in mind, repurposing um, the things you have, which is washcloths right now is my thing because I'm trying to figure out what's my next step is. The spring, after winter, your spring is always kind of um, you like a little limbo of crochet because people are tired of crocheting gifts and we're kind of working on fall and winter
Yeah.
things.
Well, and people put down their hooks and needles for the summer, right? Because of the heat and that kind of thing. And then they come back to it in the fall. So this is where we go into the bit of a slow season and then we'll pick up usually around August. So if
August.
you're taking vacation, it's the time.
Yeah, that's a good thing. My kids are going back to school in August, which is the first time they'll be going to school together around this time where the blog is kind of doing a good thing. And so I'm excited for that that time of year. 9 to 12, not too bad. They're both going from 9 to 12. So not a bunch of time, but definitely a good chunk of you could definitely make more in that amount of time without having snack people offering
Yeah,
asking for
definitely.
snacks every 5 minutes.
Well, thank you again so much for joining me today. We should definitely do this again sometime. And again, for those who are watching, please give her a follow on Instagram. And if you want to goodness, I can't speak now suddenly. If you want to let us know what your blog link is, check out her blog as well, as I know she shares some really great crochet patterns there.
Yeah, Ariana-Hall.com. That's
All right.
yeah, so .com. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. This is
All
great.
right.
And
It was nice chatting with you.
thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.